These are our teachers, there are nurses, there are firefighters, emergency responders, police, public servants who manage applications for federal and state benefits like SNAP, unemployment, disaster assistance. They ensure that our elections are well run. They get our streets paved and plowed, and they've made their commitment to serve. And for many of these public servants, their states have opted out of Social Security, and so they're not paying into the system. But many of them have had other jobs in the past or will have other jobs in the future, and these are jobs that will require them to contribute into Social Security, and in many cases, they've contributed to Social Security for an entire career before taking on a job in public service. And then, when they retire, when folks retire, you assume that the Social Security benefits that you've paid into, that you're going to receive them. These are benefits that people are entitled to receive, benefits that they are entitled to as the spouse or the survivor, or both. But for decades now, the commitment to these public servants have given to their communities and to our nation has been returned with two acronyms that have had devastating consequences for, unfortunately, far too many Americans. GPO, WEP. For many in my state of Alaska, these are like swear words. GPO and WEP, Government Pension Offset and Windfall Elimination Provision. The Social Security benefits of spouses, widows, and widowers were first cut by the GPO in 1977, and then in 1983, Congress went after the benefits of the retirees themselves with the WEP. These two provisions have been responsible for reducing Social Security benefits from hard-working Americans who have earned them, and then from their spouses, widowers. And it is in Alaska where the highest number per capita of teachers and public employees are impacted. So when you look at the map of the United States and those areas where you have the highest negative impact from the WEP provisions and the GPO provisions, it is unfortunately in my home state of Alaska. And it might not sound like a lot, 15,156 Alaskans that are impacted by either GPO or WEP or both. These are all stories. These are all individual Alaskans who have stories about how this has impacted them, like the retired teacher who's just one paycheck away from homelessness because after serving for years as a teacher, she lost 2/3 of her earned Social Security benefits because of WEP. Or the young Alaska widow who is in dire financial straits following her husband's recent unexpected death simply because of GPO and WEP. Or the senior citizen who taught for over 25 years, then he turned to commercial fishing, then he worked for BLM and the U.S. Forest Service. This is a career track that you see with a lot of Alaskans. His Social Security was cut by over 30%, and so now at 82 years old, he's still working to make ends meet. This is not retirement, folks. And Mr. President, these aren't hypotheticals. These are real stories from Alaskans who've reached out to me, asking me as their senator to help them. And I've been hearing from these folks for the entire tenure that I've been here in the United States Senate, hearing about the disparate impact on Alaskans, hearing about the inequity, the unfairness. I've earned these benefits, and yet I'm not able to receive the full benefit. Where is the fairness in that? And so I have not just listened to my constituents, I've responded. I stepped forward. And every single Congress since I've been here in the United States Senate, I have co-sponsored legislation to eliminate GPO and WEP. And proudly so, but it's been very frustrating because over these 22 years now, I've got constituents that are saying, this is happening to me in real time right now. And I have to say, this is hard. This formula is not right. We get it. We've got to address it. But this is going to be expensive. And so until we're able to do more wholesale reforms, I don't know how we're going to be able to help you in the Senate. And that's not a satisfying answer to that teacher, to that firefighter, to that widow. And so I was so pleased to be able to cast my vote yesterday to move to passage of the Social Security Fairness Act. And I'm proud that 72 of us here in the Senate joined together, and I'm truly looking forward to final passage of this important measure before I return home. And when I get home, I'll be able to tell school districts that you're going to have a better chance. It's going to be a little bit easier for you to recruit and retain good teachers and principals, because the disincentive to work in a state that's impacted by GPO and WEP is going to be gone for us in Alaska. I'll also be able to tell firefighters and police and EMS responders that they're not going to have the burden of knowing that their retirement is going to be less secure or their spouse's retirement will be less secure after years of putting themselves on the line in service to our communities. And I'll be able to tell my neighbors and the folks I'm meeting in the grocery store and the community meetings that their service is not more of a sacrifice than it should be. So, Mr. President, I'm proud of the work that we have been able to do on behalf of Alaskans and for over 800,000 Americans in other states that are affected by GPO, and the over 2 million people in the states that are impacted by WEP. So next Congress, it's going to be up to all of us to look at Social Security solvency from the larger perspective, to work on it, debate on it, vote on ways to ensure that this vital retirement program is going to continue to ensure that Americans are able to retire with dignity and security. And with that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator from Connecticut.